It can sometimes be easy to forget the impact venues have on a local music scene. A thriving arts community needs a diverse range of performance spaces to grow, from small pub stages for new artists to concert theaters and arenas for bigger established acts. In our city, we're fortunate to have a wide array of places to experience live music, but one quite literally stands taller than all the rest. This is Kingston Live. And in this episode, we're discussing one of the city's oldest and most important performance spaces. Since the doors of Sydenham Street United Church opened in 1851, it has been an active community space and hub for the arts. Performers, artists, and worshipers alike have worked and played below the hall's sharp steeple. And today, under the moniker The Spire, over 20 community and cultural groups call the space home. Hosting music ranging from choral to pop to folk to classical, the Spire has always been a multi-purpose space. And over the last several years, organizers have been developing their live music capacity to host a broader range of artists and performances. We're sitting down with Sam MacLeod to talk about the Spire's impact on the community and what's in store next. Hello, this is the Kingston Live podcast. You may notice that it sounds very different from the way it normally sounds. Normally, we're in a nice, controlled studio environment. Today, we are in a church. Specifically, we are in Sydenham Street United Church, also known as the Spire. And it's funny, we set up the baffles here, so it kind of looks like Stonehenge around us a little bit. But yeah, it's neat, very different. I'm Johnny Sand, by the way. Ange is with me, Ange Stever.
I just want to sing when you get into a place like this. You're just like, whoa, the acoustics are cool.
I'm kind of dreading how I'm going to mix this later, but
good luck.
I'm sure it'll be fine, yes.
Having fun.
And of course, Sam MacLeod, General Manager of the Spire.
Hello.
Thank you for letting us come in and enjoy this wonderful space.
Oh, our pleasure. You know, it's great to have people here, and we're trying to do more and more and more. So it's great to get the word out about our organization and what we're doing.
Well, and it's interesting because I think most music fans in Kingston would be familiar with the Spire, but they might not realize that it is still an active church.
Yeah, Sunday mornings. And beyond that, you know, there's also a Buddhist center that's here. It's the home base for Kaluta Buddhist Center. So there's regular meditations and things like that. And then there's the Sydenham Street United Church. And there's other faith-related activities. There's the Rainbow Sabbath, which is a collection of religious individuals from around the area who are identified as LGBTQ, IA, Two-Spirit. And they meet here and do some of their faith-related stuff as well. So it's a dynamic space for a lot of different things, but faith included.
Very inclusive. And as a member of the queer community, I enjoy finding spaces that you can feel safe. And you guys were actually named by the Rainbow Registry as a safe space.
That's right, yeah. So we're Rainbow registered, and it's a vetting process to go through that. Like there was an interrogation, quite literally, where we put together, 12 points, and fortunately, it wasn't difficult because there's a long history here of that. 22 years ago, it became the first, the church congregation became the first or second gender-affirming congregation in Canada. And now out of this facility, there's an organization that gives certification for gender-affirming ministries and helps ministers and other individuals within the United Church transition to their true identity and things like that. And they're rigorous too, so you can't just say, "Oh, well, we're a gender-affirming church." There's a system that's at play, and there's proofs and things like that. So. So a long history with that, and definitely something that we're growing as well.
Well, that's very interesting because I think a lot of churches do have kind of a bad reputation of not being inclusive to those communities, but it sounds like...
And they earn that in some cases, right? And so, I think separating this congregation and maybe some of the other congregations from that idea is really important, and making that public, so that people know that this is a safe space or a positive space.
That's important because I think a lot of people are looking for that, you know? Yeah, that's great.
And it's interesting because churches traditionally are not just places of worship, but they are community building places. And I feel like you've kind of taken that to another level here.
Yeah, it's a dynamic community space. There's so much that goes on here. There's arts and performance, but there's also food security programs. There's children outreach programs that pairs maybe children in sort of vulnerable situations with tutors from Queens that runs twice a week. There's 4 AA groups that meet here. We talked already about some of the different faith organizations. We have sword fighting here. It's the home of
I saw play with some sword fighting here, but I didn't know there was actual
that's
sword
right. Yeah, Sunday afternoons you can learn to fight with broadswords. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
That must be so loud.
Okay.
It's in a room with some really high walls or high ceilings, and it's kind of encapsulated. I don't know. I've never really heard it, but it is something we're really happy to have. And it's like that with so many different things that we have here. Like there's so many, salsa dancing or swing dancing or I don't know, a whole variety. Every night is booked pretty much here. Well, every night is booked here for something or other. And it's really interesting to see the space come alive with community in the evening, which is really the purpose of the Spire and why it was created, arts and community. And so that's one of the 2 pillars, I guess.
How long has the Spire been going? When did you start up?
So the Spire was created because, maybe 12 years. This organization's been going for about 172 years. The Spire itself emerged out of that organization. I use that term loosely, organization,
right.
But it emerged about maybe 12 years ago when they found that the congregation couldn't maintain this building anymore. Something had to change and something had to be different. So the Spire is kind of an amalgamation of a couple different groups, a couple different charities that have come together to turn it into a community space, art space, and see it available for generations to come is the hope. So yeah, about 12 years ago it started. The Spire logo was made, which we probably need to update a little bit, but it's since then it's been growing as this community space. But it has a long history of that. Arlo Guthrie played here years ago, Henry Rollins, Lights. Like there's been a long history of performance in the space going back 170 years. Actually, before it was even a church, this was like circus grounds. So there is this kind of like...
There's a history of that kind of performance aspect.
Yeah, it's cool.
Entertainment. Wow.
Yeah.
I saw Classified. That was the last concert that I saw here.
Yeah. Maybe a year and a half ago or something, 2 years ago. Yeah, it was great.
Saw play since then. It's always great coming in.
I was talking to your maintenance man, Les, before we started recording, and he showed me the portrait of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. They were here like 60 some odd years ago. I was surprised to learn that.
We actually have the pew marked. It's not here right now because she sat right there. Which is, I know this is a podcast, which is very close to the stage, obviously. She gets a good seat. So there's a plaque there. Although there's an argument about people who were here at that time about where she actually sat. So there's a bit of a controversy around that. But yes, she was in the building.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that. It's an interesting space. Like I met a woman just yesterday who's been coming to this building since 1951. So I'm not going to do the math on this, but a long time. That she's been part of this community in this facility. So it means a lot to her. Like the history and it going forward means a lot to her. And it doesn't have to go forward just as a church. It just has to go forward as an institution that's also important to people.
Well, and it has so much history too. It's older than the country. It's a limestone building. It's all of those things.
Yeah, it's a heritage designated space outside and inside. So when we want to do things, and we're doing a number of things, like we're putting up a new speaker system going up in February, massive speaker system, lighting system, and things like that. And all of that needs to be approved. We talk about it in committees with the city.
The Heritage Committee get on you?
Yeah, well, and it's great though. Like, the whole process was really nice. Like, they brought ideas that we didn't have, and we brought ideas that they maybe didn't think about, and we kind of came to a agreement that I think was much better than what we would have had without that input. So it was a really nice collaborative process, but we're ready to go with all of our phase 1 stuff, which is nice. But yeah, it's an old, protected, loved space. So with everything that we do, we have to be careful to respect the aesthetics and those sorts of things.
Well, the stained glass you see, obviously in the windows, the doors even coming in are very unique in the space. It's gorgeous in here. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Left the city for the countryside. Found solace in the tall grass. August leaves a certain taste behind. Swapping stories from our past. All the semblances of time were gone. I could describe it as a reverie. Maybe there's a simple trick to it. How long is too long to dwell on memories? I'm afraid of losing you. Losing this moment. I'm afraid of losing you. Losing this moment. I'm a mosaic of my anxious thoughts, but you always make sense of it. The understanding that we've built so far, it won't be easy to leave. I'm afraid of losing you. Losing this moment. I'm afraid of losing you. Losing this moment. I'm afraid of losing you. Losing this moment. I'm afraid of losing you. Losing this moment.
That was a performance by Stucco, recorded at the Spire for KPP's 20th anniversary. The song is called Losing You.
Thank you for listening to Kingston Live. Be sure to subscribe on your platform of choice and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. For more great Kingston music, check out the Kingston Live playlist on Spotify. For show listings, artist info, and all things Kingston music, check out kingstonlive.ca.
Do you ever encounter, because I imagine it must be a very specific kind of performance venue for a lot of artists. Like, are there types of performances that are like sort of not appropriate? Like, is there anyone that sort of rejects this, or do you turn away anybody?
Well, we do turn away. I turned away somebody just yesterday because we found anti-LGBTQ plus stuff in their media, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So we do. We worked on a statement with the Queen's Office for Equity and Human Rights, and if a group doesn't meet that, then they can't come in here. So that's really where we draw the line as far as an organization. But acoustically, I think maybe is more the question. Mm-hmm. This space is loved by choirs. Like, it is the home of Cantabile Choir. Their office is up here. They perform here regularly. Kingston Choral Society, Orchestra Kingston. We have some Queen's choirs moving in, and there's a lot of different music organizations in that kind of vein that would like to be here, and we're trying to figure out schedules and things. It's great for acoustic performance, And as you get kind of louder and add more drums without maybe drum screens or something like that, it can become a little harder to manage. It's something that we're actively trying to improve with acoustic management, baffles, cushioning, things like that. But it generally works as long as, you know, your sound person is really riding it and the band understands the space. It can become a really beautiful and unique performance.
Have you ever had bands that normally play electric, play acoustic, just switch it up for this space in particular?
Yeah, or they still play electric, you know, and it just gets managed.
Yeah.
You know, the sound system that we have coming in is to manage the space for reinforced sound, right? Point source speakers and things in the space can be quite difficult, but you start putting up column arrays and things that can beam focus, beam split, keep off the ceiling, keep bouncing off various surfaces, and really just beam the sound right to someone's ear in the audience. Then you can get really great sound, and you can have the acoustics add the warmth to that, and you can really get something unique and special that you can't get anywhere else.
All the way in the back of the balcony up there?
Yeah, well, when we have the new system in. Right now, as you can see, it's like monitors tied to ropes on columns, which is awful. Don't look at those. But
it's a podcast. No one can see it.
Early February, we'll have a really nice Meyer column array and sub sound system in here that will solve a lot of our problems.
Such extremes of the oldest of the old and the newest of the new.
That's it, yeah. And it's like, that's a beautiful thing, like this merger of modernity. I don't know what that word is, something like that.
Modernity, I
Modernity,
think.
is that it?
That feels right.
Or is that like when you're pregnant? Oh no, that's different.
Maternity.
That's maternity, right, not that one. And the old, right? And when we're doing these things with Heritage Kingston, like you can look at those lights that we've just put in up there. You know, we had those particularly colored to match the walls, painted in factory. The same things happen.
They're kind of camouflaged.
Speakers. Yeah, and that's what we're doing. So we're introducing, those are Series 3 luster, ETC, beautiful modern lights. Brand new, essentially, off the factory line, excellent LEDs. But we're camouflaging. We're trying to bring everything that we can that makes this space what it can be in, painting it and making it fit.
You mentioned choirs fit really well here. What do more pop-focused artists, how do they react to this space?
They generally love it because it's so unique and beautiful. Do you know? I think it gives them something special that they tend not to get maybe on the road, depending on where they go and what they're used to. But we had friends, well, I don't think Johnny qualifies as pop, but for any group that we've had in here recently, they've really appreciated, you know, what there's an intimacy. It's a 750 seat house, but it is intimate. Like the seats are really close because of the balcony and things like that. And so I think because of the aesthetics, when, you know, the lights go down, it does feel very intimate. It feels very warm. So I think generally it's positive. And it just really depends on the band, right? Like you do want to fit your band to this room. A drum screen is really a good idea. It gives the sound person a lot more headroom to play with and things like that. But generally, it's fairly positive.
Well, and it works, too, because I've been here. I remember the first show I saw here, I think, was the Trues. They played acoustically here, and it's funny because it's such a big-sounding room. But as you say, it did have that intimacy to it somehow.
Which is unique for a 750 space, right? Like it's different, right? With the pews and with, you know, just the way it's set up. It's more of a casual kind of family style, a little less of that kind of corporate feeling, I think. But I think each show's unique, and, you know, each sound person kind of takes it their own way, and it can be quite interesting and dynamic, which is nice.
I didn't know about the Spire, and then Miss Emily one day, I think she had filmed a video here or something, and I said, "Oh, the Spire, what's that?" And her mouth dropped like, "Oh, you don't know the Spire?" Like she was so disgusted with me. But it's like, what? This underground thing I don't know about? But you really have been growing over the years, and I'm sure you have plans to keep pushing it forward. What's kind of next for you?
Well, so once we get the sound system in and things, we're starting to produce our own and present our own entertainment. So we're partnering with a few different groups like Lionhearts, and we're going to be announcing that soon. We've got some really interesting stuff coming in February. We've got a burlesque show for Valentine's, which is being produced by Rouge Studio, which is really interesting. We've actually started selling beer here and wine and things, so we're going to be starting running a bar. Actually, 2 weekends ago, we ran our first bar.
Okay, that's my next question, because I've had a lot of waters here, and that's good.
Well, I'm sure this place has had wine before, right?
Yeah, up there, I think, on the, usually people form a queue and get a shot glass of it. But no, we're starting to, sell. We partnered with Daft Brewery, and so we're starting to sell beer.
Local
we had some
too,
Pinot Grigio and stuff, and it went really, really well. So, everybody here who's part of this organization, there's a lot of them. A lot of people doing various things. Some people come in just to fix things or are on governance boards or help fundraise or do a variety of things. They want this place to flourish, and they understand, we have to be selling concessions. People, when they come to a concert, they don't just want to see the act up on stage, drinking a beer, and they have to go get a water, right? So we're trying to come up to modern times, and I think that's where we're getting to, and we're starting to produce more and more, like I say, of our own stuff. We've got a Stomping Tom concert coming in with Stomping Tom original band members. Of course, Stomping Tom unfortunately has passed away. And then we're going to be announcing a whole series of things over the next maybe couple months.
Very cool.
Right on. Ange and I already mentioned, seeing Classified, seeing the Trues. Do you have any favorite moments of performances here?
Cantabile does some really cool stuff. Like, it's not maybe your traditional choir, and they'll get 700-800 people into this space, packed along the walls. Last year they did the show called Constellations, where they took James Webb images from the telescope and projected it all over the ceiling as the choirs were going, and you just have so many people in here, and the stuff they do is so unique that it was really special, and you felt, because of the acoustics, you feel it in your body. Like choirs love performing in caves and things like that, and this is, can be a bit similar.
Was that the night you decided to sell alcohol? It's like, this stuff on the ceiling would look really cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
I was one glass of wine in,
And it just felt warm, and, it was Christmas time. And so those shows are really great. But, we had the Good Lovelies in here last year. It was a good Christmas show again. And anything that comes in is usually really, really great. And there's some good promoters in town who use the space pretty regularly. We had Livewire, who did Valdi in here a couple months ago, and that was a really cool, intimate show with really a Canadian icon. So that was great.
I love how it all seems to work too, because it's a functioning church and it's an event and community space, and it doesn't really seem to compromise on either of those things, at least as an observer.
No, it doesn't. Like, everybody here who's part of the congregation is for that, So when they see the art coming in, like we had this Bread and Puppets show come in, which was a few months ago, and they're a internationally touring group of socialist activists to pushing on kind of Marxism. When they came in here, they live on like a farm in Vermont, and put on this bizarre show with like gigantic puppets, and afterwards they sold everyone bread, or they gave bread away, I think, and then sold some art. Cool, showed up on a bus. The congregation cooked them all lunch, cooked them dinner, and then was offering them a place to stay at their house and stuff. So the people here really want this, and they enjoy it, and it's taken on a new thing for them. It's not just a church; it's something much bigger, a community hub, I guess, that they appreciate.
We talk about the word community all the time, and Kingston Live is a podcast put together by volunteers who want to continue to talk in the community and promote that music. But the word community is so important, because I think that that's what everyone is looking for: connection, acceptance, love. And a space like that offers this. And that is priceless. You can't beat that. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing. And when the building is alive, you feel it. You feel, we have the upper hall, lower hall, conference rooms. We rent out offices. Like Autism Ontario has an office here, Our Livable Solutions. We have music lessons that happen here every night by a woman named Julie Milks. And you feel the warmth, and young people are running around. Seniors are going to their senior climate action now meeting. Like, it's diverse, and it can be quite beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, this has been great. Thank you so much for inviting us into this space and getting a sense of what's going on here. This is a really neat space, and happy to see it doing what it's doing.
Mm-hmm. Good luck to you in the future with everything you have coming up.
Yeah, thanks. It's very exciting, and thank you for coming in and for promoting music in the city and, keeping it alive, and it's appreciated.
This has been Kingston Live. We encourage you to rate us on your listening platform of choice and subscribe where possible. For show listings, artist info, and all things Kingston music, check out kingstonlive.ca. Kingston Live was produced in Kingston by Soundwise. Hosted by John Sanfilippo and Ange Stever. Voiceovers by Riley Jabor and John Sanfilippo. Writing and research by Peter Sanfilippo. Executive producer Rob Howard. Kingston Live is a member of the Canadian Live Music Association. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at podcast@kingstonlive.ca.